Happy Hump Day. Chantel went live twice last night. At least, America time zones. She was live twice last night. Because I watched Milky's coverage of the first part of it. And then I went back to sleep and woke up and saw that Milky was back on with another live stream. And so I have watched the live stream, but I prefer the recap because I don't want to constantly give this drugged out person, you know, coverage that includes her slurring her words, and it just looks terrible, right? It looks terrible. So let's go over garlic bread's content instead.
What is going on, guys? Welcome back. Commentary for you. Apologize if my voice sounds different, if I'm short of breath. I'm going to level with you. I went into a Walgreens yesterday, and I walked in. First thing I was met with was this giant Halloween candy display. They had the Brock's pumpkins and candy corn that I just love. So I decided I was going to buy a couple bags, get out in the car, I start eating. I literally eat half an orchard of these pumpkins. I eat a good amount of candy corn. A couple hours later, I just feel nauseous. Don't think anything of it, go to bed, whatever. Wake up around 4 in the morning. And it felt like I had drank kerosene. I had the worst heartburn I've ever experienced. And I genuinely felt awful. Now, that feeling...
I would have to say, okay, so I have had food poisoning on a few occasions. It's usually at restaurants that are like family style, such as Maggiano's, Gulliver's. There have been some places where I've gotten food poisoning. It lasts for a couple of days generally, but that's not really what he's talking about. He's talking about like overeating candy. And the only experience I've had with something like that is when I was probably like 13. I was at Knott's Berry Farm and I was eating various things throughout the day, but you're also getting jostled by um, the rides, the roller coasters and such. And close to the end of the day, I had a funnel cake, and that was enough to send me over the edge. That was what made me start throwing up.
kind of continued throughout all of today. I feel like my chest is so tight from that heartburn that it's hard for me to take deep breaths. It's the last time I'm ever going to overindulge in candy. I will remember that moment and realize that was the time that I went too far.
Yeah.
And let me just kind of tie everything together with my attention is what was valued by that store. When I walked in, they had a big display. They had a big sign, sale, Halloween candy. And if you think about it, your attention is a very valuable commodity in society. Your phone, for example, it always wants your attention. In most cases, it's a ping, it's a link, it's an advertisement, but it's only some.
It's fucking notifications that keep dropping down while I'm trying to do reactions, react videos. But I get notifications constantly, and sometimes I have to toss out my videos because somebody's trying to text me or call me.
Something that is invaluable to the person or the company that's sending it, because what they ultimately want is your time. Whether it's you clicking this video, whether it's you picking up a bag of Halloween candy, you're giving that item or that content your time. And as a content creator myself, I understand that it's critical we respect and we understand this relationship that you and I have, because not only am I here competing with every other channel in Girl World for your attention, but I'm also competing with your family, your job, things you personally care about. And to see Chantel come online and have zero respect for that relationship, simply needing her viewers to keep her company for nearly 3 hours. It's astonishing. It really is an inverse of what the situation should be. She should.
But 3 hours, I mean, that's considered lazy based on what she did the other night. 7.5 hours. Like, how demanding are you, Chantel? Why are you just tying up your audience with your nonsense for so long? You have nothing of importance to say because you are not educated. You do not watch the news. You have nothing. You're not actually visiting Thailand. You have nothing to say about the places that you go to because you don't go anywhere. All you're doing is sitting there and eating. And you're eating the worst possible things for you that you cannot digest.
Be providing the viewer value, entertainment, an experience maybe that they can't have on their own in Thailand. And instead, she provides herself, bored, lonely, in her words, simply existing. She, of course, opens with the normal hellos. She tries to entice Sala in by going over her bathroom habits, and she says she doesn't feel like she has a pneumonia. The Beezers joke they're going to fly to Thailand to kind of spark her, and she laughs this off.
I don't think that she has pneumonia either, because I think we'd be hearing much more wheezing and, much more labored breathing, because pneumonia means that you have liquid in your lungs. That's no joke. You have to go to the ER for that to get treated. And if she's ignoring something like that, that's amazing. I don't know what else to say there except that it's pretty crazy that she would ignore her health to that level if she potentially had pneumonia or COVID.
Saying she's not sure how long she's going to be staying, but do we get an update on that toward the end of this video. And I can't help but think, before she left, all the times that she sat there and looked into the camera, live stream, mukbang, doesn't matter, and she was talking to us, really talking to reaction channels, to be honest, how she was going to stick it to us, right? She was going to build up her stamina, she was going to go out, she was going to do things while she was in Thailand. Meanwhile, she's really done nothing. And even the chat today asks, why is Julia the thumbnail? And she says, well, that's a photo that Salah had sent. And Julia is just the cutest. And of course, she's feeling better, so she wants those things around.
Well, I don't know what to tell you, Chantel, but I'm signed up for physical therapy again, and so I have a feeling that I'm going to be in better shape than you pretty soon here, assuming that it doesn't make my potassium level drop again.
Her. She says that when she first gets up in the morning, there's this process now. Her breathing is labored, her movement is rough, and she makes this very odd joke that reaction channels talking about her inability to walk is only because we can't have intellectual conversations. Chantal, I really don't feel like that.
Chantel, come on. I know that you watch my channel, and I know that I'm disabled, and that it's far more difficult for me to walk than for you to walk. And I know that my conversations are much more intellectual than yours.
Could be further from the truth. I think your walking and how you kind of shuffle is something that's not normal. And you need to be paying attention to that, not assuming that the only reason that's a talking point is because there's nothing else to discuss. And she says, the reason she's sick is because she's bored. The reason she's sick is because she's traveled. She's still jet lagged. And while she's going over this, we hear people coughing, we hear people sneezing in the rooms adjacent to her, and she actually laughs that off and kind of whines that everyone around her is sick. And she questions if the walls are so thin that she can hear them, can they not hear her? 7 minutes in, she's talking about food. The chat is encouraging her to go out, do things, and she says she only wants to go to The Conjuring. She's not going to go to the pool. She doesn't want to go to 7-Eleven. And 9 minutes in, she's talking about...
Well, she shouldn't go to the pool. If she has explosive diarrhea going on, they have signs on every pool that says if you've had diarrhea within 24 hours, do not use the pool. So, no, she shouldn't use the pool right now.
How much she misses Sala, the breed of cat that Julia might be. She was just video chatting with Sala before the live, and of course he's not there, but she can let us know that he's building this home gym for when she returns. She laughs off the whole Puma pants that she was wearing yesterday, and the fact that people talk about how little she's done in Thailand. She tries to push back and say that she's went to 3 malls, and that in and of itself...
By the way, I'm a little confused, Chantel, why you have a bidet and you couldn't use that to clean out your knickers. Why you were so insistent that it's so gross. I don't want to put it in the sink. Well, why should you have to? You literally have this hose over your toilet that you can spray all of the stuff off and then only be responsible for getting like the residual shit off. Quite literally.
Be impressive. And that the reason she came to Thailand to begin with was to be alone. Was to be in the hotel. And do what she wants to do. And right now that means watching YouTube videos, sealing and eating. Even if all of that isn't filmed. And again, to go back to the point I just made, that was absolutely not the reason she was going to Thailand. And this is where the whole visa run kind of comes into play. She wishes she could rent a cat, but isn't sure if the hotel allows animals. She talks about constantly going down to see the koi fish. And she says it's nice to have the chat there to keep her company, which, as I said in the past, make these live streams very difficult to watch because so much of it is dependent on the interaction between her and the chat in the moment that when you're watching it back, there's so much, downtime where she's reading the chat or she's responding to them. And if you don't watch it in line, it doesn't make sense. But of course, the context and the substance really doesn't matter. I mean, 20 minutes in, she's still talking about eating, going back to the first memories with Sala, how she doesn't really miss Canada or her family, and she's never going to go back there. She says that right now she doesn't know what she wants to talk about, that she's just existing, and that she isn't sure if Sala's coming. And then 30 minutes in, she has...
Well, I don't know what to tell you, Chantel, but for somebody who's trying to rub in all the React channel's face that you're somehow a world traveler and where's your passport? Where's your travel plans? I've been to Thailand. I've been to Cuba. I've been to Kuwait. And I grew up in Canada. So that's 4 countries, right? You make vacationing look absolutely miserable. Why would I waste my money on an experience like you're having? Are you kidding me? No, thank you.
To go to the restroom, which we know is the bat signal for Sala. She goes back to singing Beetlejuice and singing Long Legs, which even the chat has got annoyed with. And she says, there's so many things going on in her life that no one knows about. She doesn't have the time to organize them, and it's just, quote, a lot of stuff. And this is such a weird concept to talk about people on your phone with, saying that you're cozy, and reiterating that you can't tell people why you're in Thailand, even though you just said this was a vacation, and that you have all these things, all this paperwork to do that you won't actually discuss. It's kind of that situation where she tells on herself. And she says, much of this is all a popularity contest on YouTube. She doesn't care who wins. And of course she
Well, who are you competing with? This is a popularity contest between whom? Are you talking about Nick Ocado and Amber Lynn and Hungry Fat Chick? Some of those people? Is that who you're talking about? Or are you talking about you versus the React channels? What's the popularity contest going on here?
Tracks about, quote, the work she has to do when the chat presses her about, what is this paperwork? Who goes on vacation to do paperwork?
Yeah, seriously.
Hey everyone. So the team decided to.
The chat, again, tries to get her out of the hotel room, lure her to the 7-Eleven. She said she can't go there, and it's just junk food if she did. They tell her to rent a moped. She instantly declines. They tell her to find healthy food. She laughs it off. She then starts to mock Sansa Cooks for counting the calories in what she eats, while talking about Sala being her true love. She said she's frustrated the 7-Eleven doesn't have a cheese dispenser, and talks about the times as a youth she would, quote, be able to walk and go to 7-Eleven after a party and put cheese on everything. After nearly an hour of not moving, she admits her diet's not going well. And they tell her that, all this boredom doesn't help her when she has nothing to do but think about food and eat. She goes back to singing Longlegs. Said she doesn't plan on doing anything tomorrow, but it'll depend on how she feels. Right now, she doesn't even want to go use the scale outside she promised them, and she kind of goes over the cost of transportation if she were to go out. She revisits the Puma pants, saying that she needs to work on getting a grip, and this really didn't.
That scale is within walking distance, Chantel. So what are you talking about? You walked to it the first time you showed it to us.
Happen, but it did happen. She says that she needs to relax and points out the person again coughing in the adjacent room, and says that, everyone got sick when she went back to Canada, and then also everyone got sick when she got to this hotel, but she can't be blamed for that. She then goes to the bathroom and returns, saying something flew in her eye and insisting she did in fact wash her hands. She says she now has to pay for her laundry to be done in advance and starts to put on makeup to lay down. She says that she's going to need to get the laundry done again because from what we can tell, this whole trip she has about 5 outfits. She's washed her clothes maybe twice. This could be the 3rd time. And as far as her underwear, well, she's just going to wash that carefully in the sink. And she said right now she's not sad, she's just chill, and then complains again about something flying in her eye. And she said despite the towels not moving, she's been bathing a lot. She says if you go back to her videos, you can see there are in fact towels missing, which is not really the case. No. She says that she's saving the special bath bomb she got for when Sala arrives, and then kind of implies the tub is large enough for them both to fit. After over an hour of sitting, a bathroom trip, she starts to worry about her mobility because she does admit her feet hurt after walking. After an hour, she says a lot of it is just her needing to do more. She then says when she orders, she feels the need to order 4 separate orders of ravioli so she can feel full. Girl. And she doesn't want to look for another Italian place because the one that she found was so hard to find. She then goes back into this concept of losing weight and, quote, being jacked, and that, quote, everyone will see one day. And this almost goes hand in hand with the whole, I'm going to Thailand, you're going to see, I'm going to prove you wrong. At this point, Sala enters the chat. She starts singing Handsomest Man. She talks about how she plans to get raviolis when she returns to Kuwait, saying that she's also going to film another love documentary like she did on the Couples channel. She misses pot pie. And Sala tells her she's going to be doing a gym documentary. She jokes about that being season 4 and insists right now she still can't leave the hotel. She says it's weird and lonely in a way she can't describe, bragging about another Temu haul, and the chat at this point starts to leave. She says that she doesn't have many friends, opting to just communicate with her family, mainly her mother and Sala. She says she's afraid to order dinner, unaware of what restaurants are going to have large portions. And an hour and 30 minutes in, she's literally just staring blankly into the screen. The chat's giving her food options. She says she just wants cheese. She needs cheese every other day. She complains about the sofa being covered in plastic despite sitting on it for over 2 hours. And then she makes seal noises and encourages the chat to use seal emojis to show that they're still active in the chat. And she said she misses sealing with Julia. She sings Longlegs again, saying,
That's very sad that at 40 years old you don't have any friends. I mean, I'm 50 and I've got at least a dozen people, mostly females, that I can pick up the phone and call at any time and have like hour to 2 hour long conversations with. I'm confused how you screwed up all of your relationships with your friends.
It was dumb, but she wants to watch the movie. She sings Long Legs again, changing the lyrics to reflect how she wants rice. She continues to sing it no less than 6 times in 2 hours, then coughs, pushes back against the chat telling her that she got everyone sick, and she says someone actually could have gotten her sick, that she isn't even contagious anymore. Roughly after 2 hours, her phone is dying. She's singing still, talking about her favorite perfume.
Well, obviously somebody did get you sick, and it was probably when you went to the cat cafe because you refused to wear a mask.
Her favorite foods while also saying she's getting sleepy. She hates TikTok but uses it every day and struggles just to move around. Every time she moves, she said when she stretches, it hurts. And if you go and want to watch, it's at the 2 hour and 1 minute mark. She really struggles to even position herself without moaning and groaning. She says that she's getting really hungry. The Beezers go over what they're eating. She says that she's not going to stay on 7 hours like she did before. And she goes over all the fast food places she can go to, but she really wants ravioli. She then moves from the sofa to the bed and says that she's just going to have cheese popcorn for dinner with a grape soda. The lighting here is awful.
That's trolling. That's absolutely trolling because she already said that the cheese popcorn is what made her have an explosive diarrhea moment at the theater. She said it upset her stomach. That is absolutely trolling, Chantel.
Continues to go over the same foods, trying to convince the chat that she's happy and this is fun for her to do. Then lying and saying that in the past she'd fasted for 24 hours. She said she's obsessed right now with ravioli, and that's normal for her. She gets obsessed with food and then eats it all the time. She refuses to go to the store, nearly sitting in the dark, saying all she needs to do at this point is put on her CPAP and she'll be ready for bed. The Cal Tipper then enters the chat and asks how many days she's going to stay in Thailand. Now, at this point, this is the only time someone has asked this that would get continual attention paid to them. And Salo responds, 90 days. She then apparently instantly orders food. The chat kind of argues back and forth because some of them are irritated that they're trying to give Chantel healthy options. Well, to be blunt, others are just telling her to order pizza and junk. She tells the chat she's not going to order a salad, that she's starving, she wants onion rings, and that she isn't slurring her words. That maybe she's just going to go to bed. They tell her that she's just rushing offline to order food, and she insists that that's not the case. And if she did, she would come back and eat with them anyway. She then can't order anything because she has to research all these places first. Sala then starts to talk about her eating habits in the chat and calls her a, quote, freak of nature. And that is essentially where it ends. So why would Sala...
How do you want to stay in a marriage with somebody who is continuously insulting you? You know, I mean, it's one thing that you have problems, but he should be your champion trying to help you fix these problems, not trying to embarrass you in public. Right? And just so you know, because you like to call all the React channels fat people, I was at the doctor yesterday. I posted my stats on my community tab, and my BMI is 24.07, which is the goal target for my height is 24. I was fully clothed in fleece, head to toe, with heavy shoes on. And I weighed in at 142 and change. Okay? So, can you stop with this whole everybody who watches you is fat?
say she's going to be in Thailand for the next 90 days. And is that why we're getting these long, drawn-out, depressed live streams? Because she knows perhaps that's the case. I'm going to leave you with the top comments from the last video. I am also going to throw away some candy corn and candy pumpkins so that I can be back soon as I can with more commentary.
Well, thank you for that, garlic bread. I appreciate that you summarized this material, because I was watching it earlier this morning, and it's hard for me to cover her when she's high as balls. She gets so high that it's ridiculous. It's redonkulous, if you will. On that 7.5 hour live stream, she took 2 gummies and called them candy. 2 gummies. 1 knocks me out. 1 gummy will put me in bed. I can't even. Why? Well, she's a much larger person than me. I mean, I'm taller than her, but she has much more body mass. However, she's even overeating her edibles. It's so crazy. She obviously is very miserable and doesn't know how to pull herself out of it, was unwilling to look into therapy options, and is now in a country by herself trying to renew her visa to come back. Well, life choices, Chantel.